Okay, we are going to do a video class again. As you got I hope everyone got their text message or email on, they're going to not let us resume going to school on March the 26th, which will be this Thursday. So we're going to do another lesson with the video system, and I hope that worked well for everybody. You can do it on your own time, and they're going to reevaluate after April the 6th to see if we can continue to go back then, but I look for it to be probably the 1st of May, but don't hold me to that. We'll do what they tell us to do, and this video class will be for a lesson on March the 26th, 2020, and we are studying luminaires and low voltage lighting systems. There are several questions at the end of the luminaires, lamp holders, and lamps. It's 54 questions, and it's 6 questions on the low voltage lighting system. If you would answer those questions, it'll get you into the code book and help you hunt and learn how to look up the questions in the code book. It's really good exercise. And if you have any questions on any of it, call me if I can't answer them, or text me. If I can't answer them, I will try to research it and get the right answers. But here we go. I'm going to start the Article 410, luminaries, lamp holders, and lamps, and we will continue through the low voltage lighting system.
Okay, I'm done with panel boards, switchboards. Let's go to luminaires, lamp holders, and lamps. You know, let's talk about this. I never could figure out what a lamp holder was. When this thing started changing, we went from light fixtures to luminaires and lamp holders. So as we go along, let's see if we can talk about this. What's the scope of 410.1? Okay, here is a recessed luminaire. Here's a pendant luminaire. Here's a weatherproof luminaire. Here's a surface mount luminaire. And here is a lamp holder. It's just what the light bulbs screwed. Keyless fixture, pull chain, okay? That's a lamp holder. Floodlights, you know when you have a box and you put these par holders? Those are lamp holders. Okay? Just so you understand, when you read the code book and they say about lamp holders, they're talking about what holds a light bulb, a bulb. Okay, listing required. I love this picture. This is in the keys. Luminaires and lamp holders and retrofit kits must be listed. Luminaires in specific locations, 410.10. Luminaires in wet locations must be marked suitable for wet location. I think that fixture's fine, right? I'm not sure about, even the motion sensor would be fine in that shower. It's a wet location. I mean, hey, come on, guys, don't be judging here. Clearly, if you can put this outside, there can be no reason not to put it in a shower. Kind of good idea, actually. Okay, this is underneath.
Never
we
thought
have to go to
about
Article
putting one in a
100. What is
shower.
a damp location? And talks about, under eaves and carports and that kind of stuff. So this fixture does not look like it's marked suitable for a damp location. I think that's probably a pretty common application that people are mounting just regular indoor fixtures under overhangs and figuring, okay, well, it's not in a wet location, not realizing there are there's wet, damp, and dry locations.
I think that has
luminaires
been
in a damp
lot.
location must be marked damp or wet locations, right? Because you can use a wet location fixture in a damp location or a damp location fixture in a damp location. That would be a violation. Commercial hoods. When you get a commercial hood, wiring is not permitted to be installed inside the hood space. You run it all on the outside there. Luminaires must be, now you do have luminaires in hoods, but then they have a list of products or conditions that need to be done. I remember one time putting in some wiring inside of a hood, and what do we call it? You screw the light bulb in there.
Vapor type.
The vapor type. So let's see what you're supposed to have. Identify for use in commercial cooking. Okay, well, there you go. No sense going any further. That baby was not identified to be used in a commercial cooking hood. So you have to use fixtures that are specifically identified for that application. Brian?
Well, and the confusion there could be the vapor tight is actually what a lot of the hood manufacturers use, certain ones. The other thing that I would just say here is it's actually pretty simple. There's a reason why the manufacturer has all of the boxes and all of the pre-wiring exiting the hood space.
Oh.
And so you don't need to be adding a light by tapping in somehow and running a piece of seal tight underneath of the hood to hook up an extra light or two, which I think is probably the most common violation. And a lot of that, the fire marshal typically will go crazy if he sees that. But if he doesn't catch it, it's still a problem.
Okay. Bathtubs. There's a 3-foot zone around the perimeter of a bathtub or shower, and up to 8 feet. In this zone right here, no part of a chain, cable, or cord suspended luminaire, track light, pendant, or ceiling suspended paddle fan are permitted within the bathtub zone. So you could not have a track lighting in there or a pendant fixture in there. A wall-mounted sconce is fine.
So I can fall on the wall-mounted sconce and electrocute myself, but I can't fall out of the bathtub and electrocute myself.
Well, you need to get the kind that has like a little tray for the soap.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Or you can get the flat kind right here. You get this right here. You can put the fixture inside here. Yeah, being a little silly inside there, maybe we can make a proposal. Let's make a public input on this one here that maybe make it less complicated. This really has to do with hanging things and ceiling fixtures. Maybe just simply say, tell us what can be done in there. By the way, that switch in the receptacle, some people say, well, then you can't have that switch in receptacle within 3 feet. No. That has to do with the luminaire zone, not the switch, not the receptacle. The switch in the receptacle is fine. Now, recessed and surface-mounted luminaires are okay. So in the actual shower area, you can use a recessed and surface-mounted luminaire, and luminaires within or directly above it actually must be marked for damp locations. Okay, so it has to be marked for a damp location. The luminaire subject to shower spray must be marked for wet location. Well, this is not subject to shower spray, but that would have to be marked suitable for a damp location. And I don't know, I've never really looked at the instructions of recessed cans. Do they have instructions?
They actually sell trims, and it'll say with, suitable for a damp location or whatever the case with these 2 or 3 trims.
So you have the instructions of the fixtures would tell you. I've seen the trims.
Yep.
I just didn't know where I would find out the words. That's part of the fixture product.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes I've heard, sometimes these fixtures are marked requiring GFCI protection.
I haven't seen that.
I've seen exhaust fans that are mounted in showers being
Is that what
required
it is?
GFI.
The exhaust fan.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew there was something in a shower somewhere, it would be marked. So, and we're talking about luminaires, because exhaust fans would be appliances. This is going to be luminaires in an indoor sports mixed and all-purpose facilities. So luminaires in these areas here with mercury vapor and metal halides, subject to physical damage, must be protected by a glass or plate lens. Now this actually, let me see where it's at here. My son, I think is right here or right here. And he was the #1 cadet graduating, I forgot what they called that, E something like that.
ROTC?
No, this is the Navy when he graduated.
Navy.
This is up in somewhere up in Michigan. I forgot where it's at, Great Lakes, Michigan, or something like that. And he won the Military Excellence Award. I think it was MEA or something like that. He was the #1 graduating person of that particular class. Brian, tell us about luminaires. Why the luminaires, mercury and vapor in this type of all-purpose areas? Why should they not be subject to physical damage? Besides kind of like glass falling down or something like that.
Sure,
Unless
well,
protected by glass or plastic.
Well, I'll tell you why, and then I'll give you actually a short story that is a perfect example. But these bulbs use a gas mix and phosphors to create light. And when an electric arc is created all by itself, it gives off a UV radiation, a high amount of UV radiation. Well, obviously, the stronger that arc is, the more UV that gives off. And if you're from Florida or probably any place that's really sunny, you know that UV is what gives us a sunburn. So here's the example. There's actually a story, and I read it in a magazine article or something of that nature. In a basketball stadium with the bleachers, there were some high bay lights, 1,000-watt high bay lights that were actually too close to the stands. They should have been further away anyway.
1 second. at that time, we did not have a requirement
Of
to
course.
have glass or plastic. So I want you a
Right.
historical story. So go ahead.
There was a cage on it, not a lens. So it was basically a cage on a bulb. And the bulb was, I don't know, maybe 6, 8, 10 feet from the heads of the spectators. And what can happen, the envelope, which is the big glass part, is actually not required for the bulb to function. So that can be missing completely and the bulb will still burn. It doesn't burn out like a regular light bulb. If you break it, the bulb burns out. Well, on these gas lamps, these HID lamps, that part can be gone and the lamp will still, it's fine. This particular one, for some reason, a section of the envelope had broken. And it was shining right on a spectator for a 4, 5, 6 hour game. Apparently he didn't get up or move very much, because at the end of the game, he had burns all over his face, ended up being admitted to the hospital, and I don't remember what the degree was, but it was like worse than any sunburn you could possibly imagine. He actually had to get medical treatment for it.
Yeah.
And I
So we
didn't
added
know
the
that.
requirement many code cycles in the past that they be protected by glass or plastic,
Right.
because that's what's going to be able to capture that UV. Luminaires in closed closets, 410.16. I mean, when I was a kid, that's the way it was, right?
See a lot of
That
that.
was
I
fine.
put
You
in
had pull
several
chains.
of
I
them.
mean, my grandma, actually, before this, what was it before? Before having a keyless pull chain. Anybody remember what the lights were before that?
Keyless without a pull chain.
They were pendant. Little old black wire, this little old Edison base pendant with a click, click, click that was low enough. And then what did you do with that? You kind of put it up out of the way.
My grandmother had one of those.
Exactly. If you have that experience.
And she did that.
Exactly. So then we started putting fixtures to the ceiling, and then at one time there was a prohibition of having pendant fixtures in closets. And then we started getting more sophisticated because people start putting clothing and stuff higher. So now we have some rules. Here are the rules. One, there's a definition in the beginning of 410, which gets into what is a storage space. And pretty much right here is the width of that shelf there is going to be your closet storage space. And there's some space below that, but we're not going to worry about that. The rule is this: an enclosed surface luminaire requires 12 inches from the closet storage space. If it's fluorescent, it's going to have to be 6 inches from the closet storage space. Now, we can visualize this if this was a wall right here, right, Mike? If we put a wall down here, then that would give me, I don't know, this is typically what?
12 inches.
Let's go with 12 plus 6, that's 18. You might be able to get a fluorescent strip in there, right? So you probably can make that happen. In this case here, we'll put on there 12. Let's say, example, and this was 12, that's 24, plus the surface here. You're not going to be able to fit a surface-mounted enclosed luminaire in a 2-foot deep closet, but you could get that fluorescent strip in there on a 2-foot deep closet. Yes?
Years ago, before we started putting different types of lights up, when we were still putting the strip lights in, we actually mounted them on the wall above the door, because that was the only way you could squeeze it in, especially on the closed closets.
So if we actually put a wall here, Mike put a wall here, maybe this one not, I don't know, but you take that fixture and you turn it to the side.
Right.
Exactly. And that, by the way, it's pretty much square, so it doesn't save any distance. Just that it might be just, I don't know which is easier. Or that was just a practice.
I think, honestly, it was because it was easier to put the bulbs in, because if you pushed it all the way against the wall, the bulb that was closest to the wall was real difficult to put in.
Well, you're right. And if you go here and you got that wall right there, it's a pain. And you can go anywhere you want to here, right? This right here, you have no choice. You got to be in that corner.
Right.
Well, if you go on this wall here, you can drop that down a couple inches.
Yep.
And then you can put the bulbs in there, easy to get your fingers in there. So clearly, that would be a better way. I like that idea. Now, if you're using recess enclosures, then you need 6 inches. So you have what? 12 and 6 is 18. And this is probably about what?
7 inches.
Well, it's a 6-inch
7,
can
8
with the
inches.
trim, 7, 8 inches, yeah, like Dave says.
So let's say 8, 6 is 14, and let's say 12, 14 is 20. Okay, that's not going to fit in a closet.
Not
right.
usually.
Okay, but if we come over here, a recessed fluorescent, well, wait a minute now.
You could use a 4-inch can.
You could get that in
Get a
there
4-inch can, you
because
could
we're
squeeze
talking
it in
about.
there.
Like, Mike, I guess my question is, how are we measuring this to? I guess we're measuring it to what? I guess the edge of the trim.
That's usually what the inspectors want to measure to, the edge of the trim.
So if I get a 4-inch can and I got the trim around it
Yeah.
and I got the 6 inches, I don't think it's going to make it, is it?
You 4-inch, usually you can squeeze a 4-inch in there,
All right.
usually.
Now, fluorescent, whether it's recess, a surface mount, or a recess, is still 6 inches.
Yep.
Now let's get into LED, or rather, surface-mounted fluorescent, are permitted within a closed closet storage space where they're identified for this use. I don't know if they make a fixture specifically identified to be installed in a closet storage space. Isn't there something about LEDs? Doesn't this rule apply to LEDs as well? I think this is fluorescent and LED, and this is fluorescent and LED. So let's double check that. C1, let's go to, somebody double check that. I think it's 41016 C1 and C2. It's fluorescent and LED would be the 6 inches. Anybody else have a comment on that? Yes, David?
Well, I didn't see, I'm trying to find for the recessed cans, there it is, for recessed incandescents or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source installed in the wall or ceiling. I didn't see that in your graphic, or
Well, let's see.
unless
We
we
didn't
didn't
have
get to it
14,
yet.
16, which one are you talking about? C1?
I'm on 3, C3.
Okay, surface-mounted fluorescents or LED luminaires as suitable for installation within a closed closet. Well, that would be this one here. Surface-mounted fluorescents or LEDs.
You're on
That's
C5 there. But I
That's,
don't,
oh, that's in C. One second, I'm not in C. Oh, that's right. Is that the one?
no, you're not in C, you're in
Okay,
A.
let's see. What is A though? What's the difference between A? 1 second. What is A? Oh, these are luminaires per minute. I'm sorry. Okay, luminaires here. C3 says 6-inch recessed incandescent or LEDs with a completely enclosed light source installed. 1 second.
That's the 6
For
inch roll.
recessed incandescent or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed light source installed in the wall or ceiling.
See, because the incandescents, you can't have any partially enclosed incandescents.
Oh, 1 second. Isn't this one a recessed can with a
Shower
vapor
trim.
a shower trim?
That can be any essentially recessed can. It doesn't matter what's in it.
With a.
Yeah, any recessed
So number
can.
3 then would say,
Uh-oh.
isn't this it right here?
Yeah,
This
but
is a recessed luminaire.
you can't have a partially enclosed incandescent lamp in there, or LED.
Oh,
gotta be
he's
closed.
just saying it has to have like the shower trim, on
Yeah.
it, the glass trim, or a Frenzel lens or whatever.
Well, I said enclosed recessed luminaire.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, that's an enclosed, and this is just a recessed luminaire, but this one's enclosed. So that's
That's actually a
C3.
good point, though. It does have to have a shower trim or something of that nature on there.
Well, to make it enclosed,
Yeah.
you'd have to put a shower trim.
Yeah.
Now, if the recess was fluorescent, and, well,
Well, here, recessed fluorescent.
Still 6
well,
inches.
the recessed even the recessed can, the can, if you're gonna use a fluorescent, it has to accept only a fluorescent lamp. You can't just use one of those screw-in CFLs and get away with it that way. I know somebody that tried to get away with that one time.
But this is a fluorescent fixture.
He's
No,
just,
the-
he's
no,
just
the
saying
round-
if it's
the
got
round
an
recessed can.
Edison base in it,
Over here?
Yes,
you can't just screw a curly Q lamp into an Edison base recessed can and not put an enclosed trim on it.
You're saying because somebody would call that a fluorescent.
yeah, well,
They're saying using a compact fluorescent fixture, you're saying you screw in a compact fluorescent fixture in here.
yeah, that don't really.
Well, it says
Until they-
enclosed
until they-
recessed luminaire. Let's take a look at C3. Okay, for recessed incandescent or LED luminaires with a completely enclosed. Okay, we're not worried about that one. For surface mounted incandescent, no, let's go. For surface, where's my?
Maybe in 4, let me see, yeah, 4.
Oh, four. For recessed fluorescent luminaires. So it'd have to be a recessed luminaire, not a lamp. Right?
Well, the recessed can your typical, I mean, your typical recessed can, if it's got, I'm talking about the one on the left there. There you go.
Okay, but this is not a fluorescent luminaire.
Well, see, some people would try to screw in a CFL and try to get
No, but what I'm saying is,
fluorescent.
this is not a fluorescent luminaire.
Okay,
Because the rule is saying for recessed fluorescent luminaires, not
Okay.
a fixture having a
Oh.
fluorescent lamp.
okay.
You with
It's
me?
actually
Understood.
that's a very good point to clarify, though. I'm glad he brought that up. It'd be
So-
easy to confuse that.
All right, so let's look at this again. Let's take one step at a time. This is an enclosed surface luminaire, and I removed a lot of text because if it's enclosed, it doesn't matter what goes in there, right? If it's a surface luminaire, it doesn't matter what goes in there, it's going to be 12 inches. Now, if this is a surface-mounted fluorescent fixture, which is not going to be enclosed,
Specifically has to be a
but it's a
fluorescent
fluorescent luminaire. Let's go to C2. The key, we're talking about luminaires, we're not talking about lamps. Surface-mounted fluorescent luminaire. Well, then that is 6 inches. And then if we go over to an enclosed recessed luminaire, what was the other one? This was a surface. Okay, now we are recessed luminaire.
It's enclosed, yes.
Okay, and it's enclosed. I don't care what you put inside there. Once you enclose it, it can be 6 inches. But this is not a fluorescent luminaire, right? This is going to have screw shell. Now, if you have a fluorescent luminaire, it can get down to 6 inches. Well, once it's recessed, it doesn't really matter. But you can't
But it's
put,
gotta be enclosed.
well, you can't put an unenclosed, right?
Right.
And then put a compact fluorescent in there
You can't put an unenclosed anything in there.
within 6 inches.
Right.
Right. And then, of course, we had if they make something that's specifically listed for the space, whatever. Let's go to 410.24, but I appreciate you bringing that one out. Connection of electric discharge and LED. That this 410.24a simply references, I think there was a reference there about 410. We need to get that reference in there. 67, I think, something. And permitted wiring methods, connection of electric discharge luminaires independent of outlet boxes, can be direct field wired, but you cannot have cord and plug connection. That's where the box is independent.
You can have cord and plug connection. This is just talking about permitted wiring methods.
Right. So
Which
you
is
can't have
metal
a-
or non-metallic raceway, MCAC, or NM cable.
Yeah, you can do that, but
You
in this
can't
case here,
use-
it's a violation because that's not one of the
It's
It's
permissions
cord.
That cord
It's
plug.
cord.
for permitted wiring methods.
Right.
I'm not sure if I like this graphic here, if there's any value at all, if we just go to the other one. 410.23b, it's kind of hard to understand this, but what this is saying is, look, here's your box, here's your fluorescent fixture, look at the bottom standing in the ground. You have to, when you mount the fluorescent fixture on the box, you don't just like take a half-inch knockout and have the wires come in there. You need to have access to that box.
Yep.
Now, what you could do is have the wires go directly to the fixture.
And the practice in the past has always been, you pop a grommet in there, pull the wires through there, screw it to the ceiling, and go on, so whatever's there, so.
I remember one time taking a 4-inch hole saw or whatever, 3.5 inch, and just taking the back fluorescent fixtures and just cut the whole thing out and put it right over the box. Do they make these things?
Yes.
What else?
Yeah,
They make them?
They make them with a knockout.
Okay.
Well, there are fixtures that are approved for through branch circuit wiring, where you just take a wire stubbed in out of the wall,
Right.
into the fixture, would be okay as well.
Yeah, on the ends.
Well,
Just
actually,
wired.
you can do it right in the back. We stopped putting in boxes, honestly, because most of the time we knew in advance where the fluorescent was going to go. So when we did the trim out, the NM comes right into the fixture and it's mounted directly to the structure, and you're done with no box whatsoever.
But what I did in my house is I said, don't give me the wire down in my attic. Leave it up in the attic space.
Even better.
Then when the trim comes out, then we can snap it, then we can decide where we want it, then bring my wire to
Yep.
my box.
That's
But
even
just give
better.
me the wire there.
Yep.
Just don't drop it down because it's, you don't
in
know
the wrong
exactly what
place.
you want until you see it. 410.30, supports. I guess the only point I'm making a comment here is that poles are considered a raceway. When you get to 410.30b, a pole is considered a raceway when it comes to luminaires. And then there is a rule in 820 of mixing power and communication conductors in the same raceway. And we'll talk about this when we get into Chapter 8 on the UNEC, because there are ways that you can make this work. One way to make that work is to do what? Brian, do you know how to do it?
Sure. Well, I can tell you how we did it. I'm sure you're going to tell me it was wrong.
No,
but
you might be right.
we actually would use, typically we would use seal tight, and we would actually just seal tight all the way to the bottom, and we would be done. Come out with the camera wire and go.
I would run Romex or UF cable.
Oh, okay.
Because
For the
there is a rule that says that you have to keep signaling and communication away from power conductors by 2 inches. But if there's a non-metallic sheath coating on the wiring method, then the communication signaling doesn't have any separation. Or if you have a non-metallic sheath on on the communication signaling, then you can be next to the power.
And where did you do your splices? We ran the low volt conductors completely out of the pole before it exited the wiring method. But if I did it that way, if I ran NM,
Yeah.
now what do I do?
Well, you run NM, you make a splice in your right here. Wires come in and stop, right?
Yeah.
And I bring my NM down here, make my splice.
Okay.
Okay, I got my wire. Now I have my communications just go right down.
Is that NM required to be concealed?
It is concealed.
I'm just
I don't have to
struggling.
take any building structure.
I'm just struggling with having the power and communications conductors being spliced right next to.
The camera.
What
camera
happens?
wires.
How far away do you have to be from power conductors for signaling and communication? How far away from the actual conductors do you have to be?
Oh,
Quarter inch?
quarter inch.
No, 2 inches.
It is 2 inches. Oh,
No big deal. I got plenty 2 inches inside here.
maybe, yeah.
I mean, I can run my communications 2 inches away from my power, make my spikes, my Romex, but I don't want to be having my power conductors and my signaling conductors and communication conductors going up that pole. I want to separate the wiring methods. Seal tight is fine.
Yeah.
That'll work too. You know?
We
Or
just
if
made
you
sure
have
it was
cable.
out of the
Wait.
pole.
We
Sorry?
do the same thing with Greenfield. When we order our poles, we specify nipples that come out on them, that we bring Greenfield out on the top where the cameras are, out on the bottom, and mount a control box.
So you're saying that actually a flex metal conduit is actually inside,
Yes,
and then you go to a box.
yes.
That'll work too. I just run Romex. I have to make sure I separate my power from my communication. And it could have been liquid tight, it could be Greenfield, it could be electrical Smurf pipe, right? Electrical non-metallic tubing, whatever it is that you need to do to separate them. You can put the Smurf on the communication if that's what you want. Or where you felt the splice is going to be taking place, well then put the Smurf on the communication of that, 4-foot piece or whatever. We have to separate them. We're going to talk more about this in Chapter 8 in Understanding the National Electrical Code 2. But I want you to understand that that is a raceway, as defined in 41030B. At least it considers it a raceway.
I just got a note from Don.
No.
Sounds like your NM idea is not going to work.
Why?
A pole's a raceway in a wet location, so you can't use NM cable. Maybe UF, but he's
Fine.
not sure that it's listed as non-metallic sheath cable.
I'd run UF.
Now the UF is from the lights, the luminaire down, right?
Yeah, I'd run UF down so
Okay.
that I can keep my separation
Right.
from my power. I don't want to have any kind of mixing between the two there. UF cable, of course, is a lot more hardy than NM cable, and you can run NM cable next to it. So I don't think there's any problem with UF.
Been a
I don't care
lot
what Don
of
thinks.
energy and time talking about that.
Okay. 41030B5. Metal poles used for the support of luminaires must be connected to an equipment grounding conductor of a type recognized in 25118. I'm wondering if they say that or if they say it shall be grounded. Let's take a look at 41030B. 41030. 41030B. Metal poles or non-metallic poles shall be meant to be used as for B.
Or
Equipment
B5.
grounding.
B5.
A B5.
Yeah. No?
Metal raceways or other equipment grounding conductor shall be bonded to the metal pole with an equipment grounding conductor in size and the language is it's there. I'd rather say simply metal pole shall be connected to an equipment grounding conductor of a type recognized in 25118, which will take care of whatever that is, metal poles or metal raceways. Okay, that's good enough. By the way, there's nothing wrong with adding a ground rod as far as the National Electric Code. This is an auxiliary electrode. It serves absolutely no useful purpose as it relates to the National Electric Code. But, people do it. And we covered that in our bonding and grounding program. We have to be sure that we always bring an equipment grounding conductor there, because if you don't bring an equipment grounding conductor and there's a fault, then there's no way to clear a fault, and, we have that shock hazard. Means of a support. 410.36, outlet box designed for the support of luminaires must be supported in accordance with 314.23. Well, I'm guessing that's a lamp holder,
work
maybe.
on that.
I don't know if that's a luminaire or a lamp holder.
I don't
Maybe
know.
it's a luminaire.
Great question.
Whether it's a lamp holder or luminaire, this box must be, if it's going to
That looks
support.
like a lamp
We'd have to
holder.
look at the language in the code, and we can take a look at that. It
Well,
might
let's-
say support of luminaires and lamp holders. Let's take a look at 410.36A. Outlet box fitting installed with the provision shall be 27A1 and A2. Well, that's boxes. Outlet box or fitting
And that's-
installed is required.
That's what we're talking about is the box. The point there was only a single.
Shall be fitted to support luminaires.
Yeah, it's just a single
And since
piece of
this-
rigid
Since
instead
this
of.
box, you can have outlet boxes have to be supported per 314.23 if you're going to put luminaires on it. And clearly, this box does not meet that requirement because you'd have to have 2 conduit entries threaded into it, a maximum of 18 inches.
Yep.
And I just thought this was a cool picture, so I had to get this.
It's a hazardous location.
Yeah, exactly, exactly right. That's in Destin, Florida.
What class?
410.36B, luminaires, recessed luminaires, like laying fixtures or surface-mounted fixtures, must be securely fastened to the ceiling framing members by screws, bolts, rivets, or clips listed and identified for the purpose. So luminaires are required to be attached to the ceiling support of recessed ceilings. And I think the fixture manufacturers have the instructions on that. They even have tabs on there. They have
Yeah.
screws on there. So
There's tabs is the way it's pretty much done now.
So that's taken care of by the fixture manufacturers. There is no requirement in the National Electric Code that there be any supporting specifically of luminaires that are recessed. And that's probably having to do with building codes and seismic areas. I'm sure Oklahoma has all kinds of earthquakes now. And so I'm guessing you have a seismic requirement.
We haven't started a seismic requirement yet.
Okay.
I'm
All
sure
right.
it's coming.
California, there's a lot of places in the country. There's places that have seismic requirements that, surprisingly, you would not have thought they have a seismic requirement. And then the building code would specify when this is required. But unless the building code requires this, the code is the only thing it requires is to connect it to that ceiling structure. Cord-connected luminaires. Exposed flexible cord must be suitable for hard uses or extra hard uses. Luminaires requiring aiming can be cord-connected provided the cord isn't longer than necessary and not subject to physical damage. Doesn't this cord come with a fixture automatically, or is that something you guys add the cords?
Have to add it.
You have to add the cords.
Yes.
So that's why you have to know what kind of cords to use.
Yep.
And it's only long enough that's necessary for the aiming of it. 410.130, general requirements. We're just going to go to 410.130G1 for indoor installations other than dwellings and associated accessory buildings. Fluorescent luminaires that utilize double-ended lamps and contain ballast must have a disconnecting means. And so that's what it looks like. You just plug that thing in on both sides, and that's your disconnect. And the purpose here is to disconnect the power, make it safe, and then able to replace the ballast for a new installation. In an
See
existing
much of
fluorescent
that.
installation,
Maybe
for
wire
existing
that.
installations without disconnecting means, a disconnecting means must be added when a ballast is replaced. When you buy ballast, do they come with these kits, or you got to pick them
The
up?
ballast don't, but new fixtures come with them. It's
Yeah.
just the ballast don't.
410 was honestly boring. Like closets, like fixtures. It's not fun. Okay, 410 low voltage lighting. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time. There's just a couple points I want to make. Article 411 covers the installation of low voltage lighting systems, and they changed the language in the 17 code, operating at a maximum of 30 volt AC or 60 volt DC in dry
Now
locations
we're
and a
into
maximum
low
of 15
voltage
volt
lighting. I
AC
think there's 6
or 30 volts
questions.
DC in wet locations. This means that you have to get the power supplies that are specifically listed for
It
low
helps you
voltage lighting, and it'll
Look
take
it up
care of
in
these
the
issues.
Code book.
Specific location requirements, 411.5. Lighting systems operating at 30 volts or less cannot be located within 10 feet of the water unless permitted by 680, which is really 680.22C B5. So let's go to
Guys, do any
680.22B6
swimming
rather.
pool lighting
Okay,
or
wrong. I guess I
electrical
must
work.
be getting a little tired.
Really
680.22.
Watch that code book and do it
I
safe
think
as
it
possible.
said B6.
That's a dangerous.
You guys do the same thing on at your end. B.
6.
Just trying to close that up. Okay. 22B.
Always
6.
hated to wire
So,
swimming pools and service.
Dave, let me ask you a question,
Yes.
because you're our inspector guy here. Do you guys allow people to get low voltage lighting within 10 feet of a swimming pool under any condition?
Well, actually, in the 14 code, the language had that requirement went in the 14 code, and we're allowing them to use this section right here for low voltage lighting.
See, it's
It
not
has-
showing as a change here, but this was a change in the 14 code that I
Yes.
missed. It says listed low voltage luminaires not requiring grounding, not exceeding the low voltage contact limit, which is 15 volts basically, and supplied by a listed transformer or power supplies that comply with 23A2, which is for swimming pools, shall be permitted to be located less than 5 feet from the inside walls of a pool. And this is what we're talking about right here. A pool transformer. Is that what you guys?
Sure.
So if you get a pool transformer, which is what 680.23A2 is, and it's identified as a low voltage landscape and a swimming pool spot transformer, then we can be within 10 feet. Right?
Yeah, and just to be clear, so people don't think this is some strange transformer, that's actually the normal standard pool light transformer. That's nothing unusual or special you have to order.
So if you get pool transformer, listen, if you can have a pool transformer, put the wires in the pool. Clearly, you can have a pool transformer that's safe enough to put the wires outside the pool. And that's
Close
what
to the pool, yeah.
and close to the pool.
We've also had some I forget the name of it. It's some sort of LED rope lighting that had just got listed to go in the pool around the rim of the pool.
They actually have a channel that
I forget what
they
it
put
was
it right
called.
around the pool, and then it's a listed LED rope light that just pushes right into the channel, and it lights underneath of the ledge all the way around the pool.
Do I have a ledge in my house? Yeah, I do have a little ledge underneath there
Yep.
with whatever, that concrete. So it goes right underneath there.
It's a little channel that goes there, and they push it in around, and it lights around the entire
How do you
pool.
get power to it?
It comes in through, there's an entry.
But I couldn't get it in my house.
You can't have electric in your pool.
Oh, good point. Okay, fine.
Mike,
Yes,
in Oklahoma City, we require this transformer to be ground fault protected.
that would be stupid.
Why?
Oklahoma City's done it for a long time.
I know
In case
some.
of transformer failure.
I know that some of the pool light transformers in Canada are required to be. Intermatic, for one.
Aren't these
They've
isolated?
got to be isolated. They've
Yeah,
got to be
it's-
Yeah, it's
isolated.
an isolated transformer.
It's stupid because whoever required it did not understand how a pool transformer worked. There is a
120
metal
volt lighting.
barrier between the primary and secondary.
I'll bet that's what it
They're
was.
specifically designed, so therefore GFCI would
Well,
only
the-
be protecting the line side and nothing going into the pool.
Aren't these transformers also wound with separate windings or not overlapping? So if the windings
Didn't
fail, it
realize
can't
that.
fail.
in
Yeah.
the transformer.
I mean, that's a very safe transformer.
Right. That's why you can have it in full.
Right.
Good,
I'll pass
but
that
I
on.
still,
Yeah, definitely. It serves no
Cautious.
purpose at all. Now, what are my thoughts about GFCI? Okay, in my house, everything is GFCI protected. So me making the statement that I think it's stupid is probably not a very good statement. I'm just saying. I'm not judging anybody here. But all my circuits, so I apparently have GFCI protection if I had a pool light, which I would not put in my pool because I think it's too dangerous.
Me too.
If you put 120 volt lighting in the pool, then you have to have GFI protection.
Yeah.
We don't allow it.
Good for you
Okay,
guys.
we're going to get that in swimming pools,
Excellent.
Article 680. What are we talking about? Just that you can have a low voltage light within 10 feet for swimming pools if you comply with the swimming pool transformer that is marked low voltage landscape lighting. Alrighty, appliances, 420.
okay, that ended the luminaries, low voltage lighting systems. Some good stuff in there. I know it's kind of boring. We'll get into some good stuff later on in the motor controls, and I hadn't quite figured out how we're going to do a loud yet, but we'll try to come up with something. If you would, just so we can move forward and not have to catch up later, do the questions in the back of the chapters, answer them best you can, and the tests that I gave you the last night we met, answer those and send me pictures, and I'll start a file on each one of you and record the file. Answer them the best you can, put some thought into it, and I will grade you on those. And in the meantime, I'm going to be coming up with a test for the chapters and like different ones, different questions out of each chapter. So if you would, send those to me. Let's see how that works. And if we can come up with a better idea, we will. This is all new ground for y'all and for me. If you have any questions, call or text. Just keep in touch with me and let me know where you're at so we can move forward. And Sean, if you need some copies of the test, please get it from another student if you could that's got a copy machine. And I can help you if you, I haven't got access to one right now, but we'll try to get you moving forward too. If I don't think you can get out there to pick up a book, but just answer the questions, take pictures of them, look at these videos, and I will be sending out another video for next week. All righty. Y'all work safe. Take care of your family and try not to get this virus going around. And hopefully we'll be back to a normal state here in a couple of weeks. And I will let you know if I hear anything. All righty. Have a good one.